ENTJs describe themselves as flawless and the ultimate type. That is just about right, given that they are considered the rarest personality type, and it tends to be even harder finding females under this personality type. But what's so unique about them? And how exactly can we tell the ENTJ male from other personality types? This video will quickly discuss 5 unexpected facts about ENTJ you may want to know. Before we dive into this video, please remember to subscribe to our channel and click that bell icon. You wouldn't want to miss any lovely content from our channel. Now, let's get started. Number 5. ENTJ's males are commanders. One of the greatest qualities of an ENTJ male is his rationality. They base their decisions on logic and not on their emotions. They are also very resolute in their decisions and are often put off by indecisive people. While people may be easily dwindled or limp between two solutions, ENTJs are quick decision makers and astute. This makes them the best of leaders. A leader is one who can solve problems. In all honesty, you would most certainly agree with whoever seems sure of their plans and not one who's trying to figure it out as they go. An example of an ENTJ leader is former U.S. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who won 4 elections in a row and played an essential part in developing America. ENTJs will always be in positions of authority, big or small, no matter where you find them. You could say it's a built-in advantage for them. Number 4. The MYERS-Briggs type indicator lists ENTJ as one of their 16 personality types amongst the rationals. They are characterized by confidence, which is a quality most humans struggle with. They are also very sure of themselves. Maybe they're superhumans, except they lack in the emotions department, or, as some claim, care differently. They are built like solution meters and will provide rational solutions in a place where emotional support or empathy is needed. As per their leadership qualities, they often hide their emotions, which makes sense because they have to be strong in the face of problems and be a stronghold for their followers. This is not to say they are cruel or robotic, and their emotions just play little or no role in their lives. This does not help their love lives, as they are considered matters of the heart. ENTJs also identify as some of the most compassionate human beings, which contrasts with their reaction and inability to provide emotional support. Number 3. The N in ENTJ stands for intuition. The gift of intuition helps ENTJs anticipate situations and make decisions quickly. Instincts seem to come easy to them, and that makes them sharp-witted. Dominantly, ENTJs are highly extroverted and logical. However, their intuition stems from their introversion, which is considered auxiliary. Basically, this auxiliary intuition helps them visualize the many different ways their plan can go and prepare for it accordingly. Their strategizing and organization come from their intuition. ENTJs are like introverts who have carefully honed their intuitive skills to the best of their ability, including backing their instincts with strong facts. ENTJs are simply awesome when it comes to being in charge of decision-making boards and firms. They are the kind to look out for and just the people cut out for the job. That's unless, of course, you're not looking at the progressive side of things. Number 2. One weakness of ENTJs is being authoritarians. Because they are sure of themselves, they tend to consider their decisions, opinions, and suggestions as to the final say or superior to others. At a point in time, we've all met someone who doesn't consider anyone's opinion. It can be a rather disturbing story in the case of having them handle your situation. Another thing is being blunt, being so sure of themselves. ENTJs tend to be straightforward and blunt because their word and only theirs stand. This also makes them very critical of others and will nitpick at any decision, suggestion, or opinion that doesn't come from them. In some cases, it's either their way or the highway. This may come off as pride, and people like this aren't easy to get along with, not unless you are naturally submissive. They are rated some of the most confrontational people and are less likely to hold grudges of any kind. The same can't be said for the people around them. As Albert Einstein once said, "Weakness of attitude becomes weakness of character." This is not just an attitude, but character or trait, or that one true personality you'd have to deal with if you want to relate well with an ENTJ. Number 1. ENTJs are very charismatic, energetic, as well as efficient. If ENTJs were a Hall, efficiency would surely be their mark. They never go wrong with their plans or goals, which shows their effort to reach their goals. They also optimize working hard and smart and can never be described or associated with laziness. Given how hardworking they are, one may think they need a lot of time to recharge their bodies and social meters, alike to be their highest selves. But no, they thrive on socializing with people and are energized by them. They genuinely enjoy being in the company of others. They are also very charismatic and can never be described as boring or plain Jane. How about we end it here on our 5 unexpected facts about ENTJ male personality types for today? Which of these do you think you relate to? Let us know in the comments section down below. You can check our video on proven ways to relate to ENTJs for more enlightenment. A link should be in the description below. If you enjoyed watching this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button or ring the notification bell for more wonderful content like these.